welcome to the Golden Hour. I am Golden Duffy, your host. This is the Manifesto TV. I am so pumped to be here today because what we're talking about today kind of branches off of what I was talking about last week. So if you didn't see last week's episode, Lord help me, I don't remember the name. Go back to last week's episode because we're talking kind of about the same thing, about the dramas and the manipulation of energy within our relationships and how to start no longer letting those patterns or programmings have control over you. So today really is about no longer worrying about what other people think and the ceasing of judgment. So the judgment of yourself is reflected to you from others. So as you judge yourself, other people judge you too. And that's pretty much the single most reason why people judge you or why you get entangled. It's an entanglement of your energy field with other people where you become hyper concerned and hyper vigilant about what other people are thinking about you. And then the shitty committee comes in and starts giving you all these stories that you pretty much like make up in your own mind about people. You know, drama is so interesting. When we have these really explosive, dramatic, rageful events in our life, the shitty committee, first of all, comes up front and center. So they'll continue to try to keep you safe and the same, which means if you are caught up in a drama, you are staying safe and the same because you can't really expand and grow when you're caught up in your emotional field and you're too close to the problem. That's why you'll feel like your thoughts are thinking you, like you won't be able to step away from it and you will constantly think about it. You'll think about things you should have said or things you shouldn't have said and how wrong that person is. And it is just this mind-boggling chaos that doesn't allow you freedom or joy, bliss or silence or quiet. And that's why it's super important to break free from these programmings and from these traps, we'll call them traps, prisons of your own making, because you want to expand and grow from every relationship, from every experience, from every, every circumstance that you find yourself in. So as I have a lot of experience in this, especially when it comes to family and family drama. And I would say the foundation of a lot of family drama and what creates more and more drama in families is the lack of boundaries. It's not having boundaries for your energy field. And it's these control dramas that play out where we are literally all in a cycle with each other. It's like a dance, if you could imagine this dance, where one person is intimidating, the other person is being aloof, or they're both intimidating. And the ways to break free from these dramas is to have different responses. But you cannot have a different response if you are in an emotional entanglement. Because when emotions are high, logic is lost. So you'll say things that you don't mean. You'll get, just as mean as the other person. You will, you'll feel really shameful and really guilty afterwards because you'll feel like you didn't have control over yourself. But the truth is, if you find yourself in these dramatic situations with family or friends or a partner, there was a lot leading up to this. So there was a huge momentum that was leading up to it that was basically calling you to look at your boundaries, to, clear your emotional field and to figure out why this particular person or these particular people are triggering so much of your wounds that are inside. And no one can trigger anything for you that doesn't already exist for you. So if you are having these major triggers of major emotions, there's some inner work that needs to happen. There's some journaling that needs to go down. There's some connection with your inner self that says, where is this coming from? First of all, how is this making me feel, right? Like what is the foundation of the feeling? And you can get to the energy on this, and I'll do a little energy work at the end of this, but you can get to the foundation of it by quieting your mind. So you take a couple of deep breaths. We've done this a few times at the end of my shows where you hold your breath for a few seconds and then let it out. That will help to clear the pathways. Think about it. It's like kind of blowing out, like leaf blowing the pathways so that you have some quiet. Because when you hold your breath, the mind quiets down, because all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're not doing the thing we normally do, which is breathing. So it will settle down. It will calm down so that you can have those moments of quiet and ask those questions. What is this bringing up? For the most part, that feeling, what is that feeling, that emotion? And where did that emotion begin in my life story? Because everything that's happening today was put in place in your childhood, unless you've done like massive amounts of energy clearing and awakening and coming to terms with. Everything that you're going through has to do with what you experienced as a child up until the age of like 7. And then once, you turn 7, and you start to, mature a little bit, then you're going to start seeing evidence of those wounds, and they're going to follow you in cycles until you start to wake up to the cycles and start to decide that you don't want to be part of those cycles anymore, that you really want to break free from the programming, from the dramas, from the, not having boundaries with people, giving too much, ignoring too much, pushing down too many of your emotions, because that's what happens when we don't acknowledge our emotions and we're like, oh, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to stir things up. When we do that, it's like this minefield. Like we just become this, like we're about to explode kind of energy, which is never, I don't recommend that. It's not a great way to live. It does clear energy though, which is really interesting. If you can really hear me on this, anytime you have like these really dramatic experiences or blow ups with your family, it's really easy to feel bad about it afterwards and to feel like it shouldn't have happened. But the truth is, if it happened, it was supposed to happen. Grab that, like really grab that, because if it happened, it was supposed to happen. And now it's like, okay, what do we learn from this? What do we take from this so that we get the benefit out of this horrible moment, right? This moment that we feel like was so bad that we wish we could rewind the tape and go back and do it differently. But those moments are what shape us. They're what clear us. They're what free us from the drama that was already going on. If you ask yourself, I've asked myself this many times, like, was it, because it's really easy to romanticize things, like especially about your family or people that you're close to, especially if you've had some sort of estrangement. Looking back, it can be like, oh, I really miss those times, because the nature of the mind is that forgetting of what really drew you to, the estrangement, or what drew you to creating boundaries for yourself. So everything that's happening is there for a reason. And now it's the discovery and the research of what that reason is giving you, what that reason is, and how we can come back from it, how we can create something new, something different, something where we are more powerful, where, we aren't allowing ourselves to be so taken advantage of, or so putting ourselves in the energy field of people who disrespect us or devalue us or talk behind our back, or, don't see our value or our worth. If that's happening, you've got to look at yourself and go, do I feel worthy? Do I feel powerful? Do I feel like a piece of shit inside? Those are really important questions, because your relationships are going to reflect that. So you can either allow this to push you down, to make you feel worse, to make you feel like an even more piece of shit, or you can rise above it. You can create some space from it, and you can go, all right, where is my growing edge here? What am I learning from this? And what am I going to do differently from now on, so that I don't get myself in situations like this where I am explosive, where I don't have any control over my emotions, where I allow other people to trigger things within me, which gives them all the power and all the control. And that is actually one of the control dramas of how they manipulate energy, to get you to feel powerless. That's how they take power from you. Control dramas are so interesting. I'm really diving deep into this because I can see it. Like I can see it in my life. In fact, the other day I was at the gym, and this is a really small thing, but it was very interesting to me because this has happened to me a lot in my life. And if you are a good listener and you're not always talking about yourself, you may be in this position yourself quite a bit. So I was leaving the gym and there was this older man, sweet little tiny older man, cute little man walking out of the gym, and a woman that knew him saw him and said, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And I think she probably regretted saying that because he just started pulling from her energy field. And how people do this is they just start launching into their life and what's happening, and this happened and that happened, and to the point where you give them a lot of your time. So you may, end up being late to get your workout in. You may end up being late to work. You may end up not being able to do things for yourself because you gave this practical stranger, right? Like this acquaintance, you just gave them all of your time because this is so interesting. Here's one of the control dramas. You feel bad for them. You feel like they're lonely. So it's all very disempowering what you're feeling. Meanwhile, they're just sucking the energy field from you. And that's why a lot of us feel very exhausted and tired all the time because we're giving away our energy to other people and getting manipulated by their control drama. So pay attention to that, because I always say this to my girls, and this is something that it took me many, many years to come to, and I probably still am challenged by it. If you have people in your life who are extreme talkers, they just talk at you and they're not really engaging in a conversation with you. They're just talking at you and telling you their dramas or whatever. I also call it dumping. They're dumping their issues on you or their problems on you. If you have a lot of people like that in your life, you're going to be exhausted. It's actually exhausting your energy field, and they will, if you cut them off and say, and it feels rude, man. It feels rude. I get it. We all want to be kind. We all want to be sweet. We all want to, feel like we're connecting and being good to the world. But if you say to them, "I'm so sorry, I've got to run. I'll talk to you later," they will find someone else to talk to. They will just move on. It won't even affect them because they're so used to doing this to so many different people that your time and attention is not really that significant to them. So keep that in mind, especially if you're running around giving a lot of your energy away and letting people just draw from you, like suck from your energy field. I will not do it. A little while ago, I had this woman at the gym, and I think I've shared this with you. And she was really, really sweet. And, I got this feeling, and this is very disempowering. When people are, one of my major things, and you probably can tell from my almost 300 episodes of my show, is I want people to know that they matter. Like, that's important to me. I don't know why. I'm guessing it came from my childhood where I didn't feel like I mattered. So now I want to overcompensate for everybody else, which is never a good place to be. But I want people to know that they matter. I want them to never feel alone. And these are all things that are other people's journeys, right? This is not for me to take on, right? As I'm saying this, I'm hearing myself, hello. So there was this woman, and she cleaned the locker room, and she was really sweet. And so I just felt compelled to give her my time and to say hello to her and to ask her how she was doing. And I even bought her a little gift for Christmas. And then she started really just draining me, talking to me incessantly for a really long time. And then she left the gym, and she had my phone number. No boundaries. Say no boundaries. So then she wanted to get together with me, and I was like, "Oh no, I don't do that." And honestly, if you've reached out to me and you want to have a call with me, like a phone call with me, and you want to talk to me about something, I just don't do that. And it's not like I do it for certain people and I don't do it for other people. I just don't do that because it's a protection of my energy field. Of course, I do it for my friends and family and people that I am close to and I love. But if you just know me from afar and you want to try to talk to me, I will message you. I have no problem messaging with people and giving people my time that way, because that keeps my energy field really secure. And then I can actually respond to it when I can and see fit. So it's like there's no drain on the energy field. So because of the nature of what I do and the energy that I give out, as far as these shows go, or my channeling, or my meditations that I offer, I have to be super protective. So it's not like I'm being like better than you or better than anybody else. I'm just careful, because I've gotten myself in trouble so many times. So maybe you have gotten yourself in trouble so many times. Maybe you have like no boundaries and you over involve yourself in people and you over offer people. These are habits that come from a foundation of never feeling good enough. And if you never feel good enough, guess what? No amount of running around and people pleasing will ever satisfy that feeling, because that feeling comes from within, and it's something that needs to be addressed and healed within you. And it cannot be filled up by another person. And let me tell you, I tried. I tried to fill myself up with volunteering, being super involved, doing everything for everyone, trying to get it from my husband, trying to get him to fill me up with love and compliments and all of that. And I always came up short for years and years and years. I came up short to the point where it ended my relationships with my biological family, because I was so tapped out. I was so resentful. I was so overgiving to so many people that, and it's not to the fault of anybody else's. If you give to someone, they're most likely going to take it from you. And it doesn't mean they're selfish, and it doesn't mean they're wrong, and it doesn't mean they're narcissistic. It's just the human condition that when somebody gives to us, we're like, okay, give me more, right? Because we're all in this journey of healing and expanding and growing. We're all coming from these places of wounds and not feeling good enough. Then we're all going to be on this journey of these dramas together, where we're always trying to manipulate energy and trying to get energy from each other. So how do we fix this? How do we fix this? How do we stop running around people pleasing? It's a journey. It's not something where you're going to flip a switch or, you're just going to become this person. It's a journey of awareness, and awareness changes nothing. It's a journey of responding differently. And it's a journey of a major decision within yourself that I am good enough. I am whole. I am worthy. I am powerful. And those may just sound like words to you, but they become belief systems as you decide over and over again to pull away from these energies and relationships that are not serving you. Look at each one of your relationships and ask yourself, is there an exchange of value here? Am I receiving the value that I'm giving out? And sometimes that value is currency. So like maybe you have a friend who, really needs to talk to you and really needs you and really loves you. And maybe that does feel like currency to you because it makes you feel necessary. It makes you feel wanted. It makes you feel like you matter. And that's okay. It's just this energy inside of us that when it starts to turn to resentment and it starts to turn to something really yucky and not good and obligation, that's when you get yourself in trouble. So you could be a loving and a giving and a wonderful person, and that's all well and good as long as you are not draining your energy field for it, as long as you are not being manipulated into giving all of your power away. And then at the end of the day, you feel like you have nothing. You have nothing left to give. We've got to get away from the idea that we're being selfish about things, and we have to start filling ourselves up and listening to our own guidance in order to improve on those relationships. It's when we overgive, it's when we ignore our own feelings, it's when we start to become resentful. That's when relationships get really mucky. And that's like some of the greatest time for you to heal, to like really get real about what's going on. When you are in massive negative emotion about something, that is that's a giant billboard for you to go within and start looking at this to heal. Opportunities like that, if you see cycles of opportunities where you find yourself in the same sort of dramas but with different people, those are opportunities for you to go within and say, why do I keep creating this? I had a friendship end, a couple friendships end in the past 2 years, and when I looked at those friendships, I was like, holy cow, this is so similar to what I was doing in my biological family, that once I realized that, it was like, I can't do this anymore. So if you're there, if you're at this point in your life where you are in relationships and you're feeling just completely tapped out, completely drained, or maybe you're on the other side of it where you're feeling guilty and shameful and beating yourself up, these are all moments, really important moments in time for you to take a step back and to say, what do I really want from this life? Because you get to choose, and you don't owe anybody anything. Just because you were born into a family or because you married into a family, you don't owe anyone anything. And if there is massive disrespect and a massive feeling of not being, not your worth not being valued, then it's time to step away from that and to start deciding, this is how I want things to go. This is the energy that I want to be around. Yeah, you have the ability to do this. You absolutely have the right to take your life back, to take your power back, and to say, I am not doing this anymore. And a great way to, proceed with this is through communication. But sometimes that other person, because I did try quite a bit of communication, maybe not as much as most people would have, because I'm very strong in who I am. I've come to be very strong with who I am. So I'm not going to concede anymore or feel sorry for anyone anymore, because I see how disempowering that is. And I see how that keeps a drama pattern going. Communication is always great, but if you don't feel like your communication is being received and it's being entangled in more drama, then you're best checking out, at least for a little while, until people cool down, have time to grow, have time to expand. There are people here in this journey, in this life called Earth, that are not here for the same level of expansion and growth you are, but they're here to promote yours. And that happens often negatively, most of the time, negatively. And what we look at as negativity or as the wrong emotions, it really is just part of our emotional field, and it's all leading us to more. So the greatest thing that I think I ever wanted to accomplish was just to have control over my emotions, right? Like I'm thinking back, like when my kids were little, if you look at any of my journals from my kids were little, it was like, please God, this is back in the day when I was going to church, and I was like, please God, just help me to be nice to my kids, to not yell at my kids, to not lose my patience with my kids. And as time went on, and I started to really expand and grow through relationships ending and all the things that I was learning and researching and all of this energy field stuff, right? Like quantum energy and how this, wave behind me actually works when it comes to our emotions. I wouldn't say that I'm perfect by any stretch, but I would say I have a handle on it better than I have a handle on it enough to feel really good about myself. And I would love that for you as well. And I will tell you, it is completely possible. It's not rocket science, but it does take a determination to go within and see what's going on with yourself. It does take time. It does take a connection to yourself and to your higher mind and your higher states of being to really unfold this complicated system that has been set in place for you to survive, right? Like for you to survive your childhood, you had to put things in place, whether it was being aloof or intimidating or asking a lot of questions, whatever your mechanism is for survival to try to take energy to manipulate the energy field. The other one was poor me, right? Having people feel sorry for you is a great way to manipulate energy and take energy from people. What is it? What was it? What was the programming that was set up for you to survive? Because now, as you get older and as you get more aware and you start to get more awake, you see that these control dramas are not leading you to the most joyful and happy life. They're really just repeating patterns that are quite frustrating, right? Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Well, what's the definition? What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So it's up to you to change it by making some very solid decisions and to stop feeling sorry for people, to stop saying like, oh, if I did that, they would be, sometimes you checking out from somebody's experience and allowing them to miss you is part of their growth. So you really have to go inside. You got to go with your guidance. My decision to separate from my family was one of the hardest decisions I have ever made in my whole entire life. And it is not for the weak. It is not for the weak. And if I had known that it was, I don't know. I can't say that because everything works out the way it's supposed to, right? So I won't say that. But what I will say is, the respect that you have for yourself and the boundaries that you put in place for yourself become your life experience. So if you're wishy-washy with a lot of people and you have no boundaries with a lot of people, your whole life's going to be that way. So why not learn how to, respond differently to these dramas now so that you can start creating healthy and whole and really inspiring and wonderful relationships and not the ones that are sucking the life out of you and threatening to have them end. Whenever you're in a situation where you're pushing your emotions down and you're like, it's fine, and I can deal with it and it's okay because they blah, blah, blah. They, don't have a family, or, there's a reason why people are alone in this world, or they don't have money, or, something happened to them that was tragic. So now I need to be their be all and end all. And none of that is true because we are all on our individual journeys of expansion. And whenever we feel sorry for someone or we do something because we feel like they're less than, that they have less than us, and we feel guilty because we have more, because we've created more, because we figured out how to create and we've created more, we disempower the whole situation and especially ourselves, because then we're discounting all of the work that we've put in, all of the focus, all of the determination, and everything that we have created. And that's not fair. That's not a fair way to live. That really puts you at the lower end of the scale and doesn't allow you to enjoy the life that you've created. We're actually taking a Christmas vacation. We haven't gone on vacation in a while. We used to rent a house here in Newport, California for the holidays. And we just decided that we need to get out of Dodge and we need to go somewhere warmer because California is lovely and beautiful and wonderful. And oh my gosh, this fall has been incredible. Not bragging, just a fact. We want to go somewhere where it's like more tropical. So my husband planned this incredible vacation and we are going to St. Croix in the second week of January. So Christmas will be a little weird because we'll just have our younger girls here and then we'll all meet there. We'll meet in Miami and then fly to St. Croix together. And I'm super excited about that. But I was talking to my daughter the other day and she was feeling kind of bad about it because there's people in her life that can't afford a vacation. And they just went to Puerto Rico a couple months ago for their anniversary. And she's like, here I am taking, 2 vacations. And I feel like I can't even talk about it with these people because they can't even afford 1 vacation. And I was like, don't do that. You guys have worked so hard and you have focused and you've been committed and you've created this incredible business and you've done something that you can afford. And I think it's easy for us to do that when we start to become abundant and we start to really live our lives in joy and freedom and all of that. It's easy to look at other people and feel bad about it. And it's like, why are we feeling bad? First of all, don't ever do anything because you feel bad. That is a terrible motivation. You can do things from love. You can do things from inspiration. You can do things because your heart is telling you to do them, but don't ever do anything because you feel bad. Because the energy of feeling bad will just create this like yucky guilt cycle that just sucks energy from you. And often if you have people in your life who have this like guilt thing where they've got this poor me thing going on, you will never be able to do enough for them. You will never be able to give enough to fill them up because they're trying to fill this like bottomless pit because they're not looking and taking responsibility for their victimhood or how they are actually creating in this, energetically creating in this world. It is not your responsibility to take on other people's stuff. It is not. That's a big one. And we've been told, that's selfish, that we are here to serve, that we are here to, like discount ourselves and put other people first. And it's really gotten our society in trouble. It really has. I think that's why mental illness is so rampant right now, because people aren't paying attention to how they feel and what they're doing and how that is creating in their lives. So becoming aware of that is really important. So I want to just I want to sidetrack for a second because there's another thing that I wanted to address today, and that has to do with letting go and letting go of things that are not necessarily working in your life. So my one of my children took a job recently and it has been sucking the life out of her. And there is a big promise for a lot of pay from this job, but it's way out. Like it's like a month or two that she would have to put in an insane amount of hours on the phone and on the computer. And she's really been struggling with this because she wants to get out of her, fight or flight situation with her finances. And we talked quite a bit about this, and I shared with her, and I think this is really important for everyone to realize, you will never become abundant by doing something that is sucking the life out of you. In order for us to become truly abundant, truly grateful, truly healthy, truly in love with life, we have to be doing something that we feel good about. Because that feeling of goodness, that feeling of relief, peace, satisfaction, joy, appreciation, love, those feelings are super currency. They're super currency in the universe. And if you're doing something that is sucking the life out of you, you are depleting and putting yourself in debt. And eventually your physical health will start. I mean, obviously your mental health is going to suffer. And eventually your physical health will suffer because your body can only sustain so much stress, so much cortisol going through your system before it starts to break down, because that is not our natural state of well-being. So we want to really work on being in alignment, having time for meditation, having time for journaling and gratitude and nature and all of those things. You can go out of balance for a little while, but if you're out of balance with something that is really, really killing you, eventually things are going to show up. You're going to get autoimmune diseases, you're going to get cancer. All those things come from being in a super unhappy and unfulfilled state. So I shared with her, there's plenty of ways to make money, and she does have other avenues of making money. So I said, just focus on the ones that you really like, focus on the ones that lift you up, and let this go. And that was really, really hard for her, really hard for her. But I told her, I said, as soon as you do this, you're going to feel the most massive amount of relief. And guys, relief is currency. Feeling relief is currency, because it's like you're being held underwater and all of a sudden you let yourself up for a breath. And now you can breathe, and now you can see, and now you can feel better. And when you feel better, you create better. The better it gets, the better it gets. So the real key here, and also the other part of that, I'll tell you the key in a second, but the other part of that is when you let go, you don't know what's in alignment for you. You don't know what's already lined up for you to come in, that you needed to make space, right? We need to make space for better things to come. And when we're holding on tight to something that hasn't been working for a long time, we are blocking the flow of energy to something else, to something that wants to come to us, that is way better, more pay, more enjoyable, and more fulfilling. So you got to let those things go. And I know it's scary, and your mind is going to flip out. And that is why I think my daughter is having the hardest time with this, because her mind is freaking out on her. Like, she's already in a state of anxiety. So that anxiety is going to be so easy to, that shitty committee's in the forefront, right? They're in the front office. So they're going to have their way with you because you're already in that vibration. You're already on that radio station. So this is a faith-filled, journey where you trust that things are working out for you, and you follow the trail to better things by letting go of the things that are not working. So look at your experiences. What's not working in your life? What relationships aren't working? What jobs are not working? What activities are not working? If you're doing something over and over again, let's say you drink every single day. There was a day when I drank every single day. My husband and I used to get those big bottle of wine. This is when our kids were little. So yeah, you could say they drove us to drink. We used to get those big bottles of wine, and we would drink them every single night. And I remember waking up every single day. This was like probably in my early 30s. I remember waking up every single day and just regretting how much I drank, and having that headache and not feeling good. And then, you get up and you start going through your day, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to drink tonight. And then 4 or 5 o'clock rolls around, and there you go again. And I remember being in that trap. And it was a trap. It was a total trap. So it's taken me 20 years to figure out how to get out of that trap. But thankfully, I am out of that trap. And that is not something I will ever do again, a daily drinking habit, because it does not it doesn't put me in a high vibration. It's really not good for your health if you look it up. And this could go along with any addiction that you have, drugs, alcohol, just things that make you less than, that drop your vibe. Give it up for a week or two and see how you feel. I mean, alcohol, it's really good to give it up for like 30 days because it takes your body time to acclimate and get away from it. And if you do get away from it, don't go back to it, because it's a slippery slope. I'm telling you, it's one of those things that people don't realize. It's very addictive, and it can be hard to get out of once you go back to it. Okay. Sorry, I had to answer that text. All right. So moving forward, we're going to do some energy work. Going back to the key to letting things go is that faith. It's that foundation of faith and trust, and that little leap of faith. Maybe it's a quantum leap of faith for you. I don't know. Maybe it's a little leap of faith. Maybe it's just, maybe it's looking at other avenues to do things. Maybe it's just asking the questions of, how can I do this better? Or how can I let this go? Please show me, right? Show me signs. I do that all the time. Show me the signs. If you want me to go in a different direction, show me the signs. If things are getting really, really bad, really terrible, really worse, that's when the energy is about to break, because that energy starts to like steamroll. It starts to get very dense, right? The energy densifies, and that's when it's about to break through. So if you're in that, just hold on. It's about to change. But if you've been in it for a long time and you haven't taken the steps to change it, it has to start with you. It has to start with you, because that means that the energy conduction is not strong enough to manifest. It needs something. It needs something to shift, letting something go, asking the right questions, giving yourself some space, making a solid decision that you are not here to suffer and struggle. Those are huge, really huge foundational keys to letting things go. And if you are doing something that is like totally paying your bills, if you've got this full-time job and it's totally paying your bills, especially if it's only paying some of your bills, that's worth looking. That means it's not working. But if it's something that's really paying your bills, then I would start to ask questions of how can I do something on on the side of this that can start to take over eventually. Because it's not either or at this point. Those quantum leaps of faith where you're like, oh my god, I don't have my bills. I've heard people all the time with this. It comes up a lot with like network marketing companies or with coaches, like people that want to go full time into the coaching field. And I am always an advocate for either or. I mean, for and, because either or puts a lot of pressure on you. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to go all in, which we did in network marketing about 10, 12 years ago, we did that in network marketing. And as a result, our life just got worse and worse and worse financially because we weren't ready to do that yet. So if you've got people who are telling you that you're ready to do it and your income from that side thing is not your bills right now, don't do it. Don't do it because the pressure and desperation of the energy that you will put towards that business will make it so yucky that, again, not a high vibration. You're not in abundance. You're in desperation. You're not in passion. You're not in love. You're not in joy. Those are currency for creating more of that experience. And then if you're just working a job that you don't love and it's paying the bills, but you're just kind of like getting by emotionally, and spiritually, then I would start asking the deeper questions like, what would I love to do? What would I be excited to wake up every day to do? I know a girl, I know I shared this story before, but it's so cool, who she did a leap of faith and she quit her job, but her job was bad. It was terrible. It was not getting what she wanted from it. And she was married, so she definitely had, was not completely taking away all of their finances, but she started a pet sitting business and now that's what she does full time. And it happened pretty fast. So what do you love? I also know another woman who started doing pet sitting on the side and ended up being able to give up coaching. She was coaching and she was like, I'm just going to go full time into this pet sitting thing because it's so fun and I love it so much. And coaching was starting to drain her. So if you have a side thing that you really love, then and it for a little while. Do both for a little while and then start to cut down your hours at the other thing or start looking for something that actually lights you up. Like, what have you always wanted to do? If you've always wanted to do something, there's a reason for that. There's absolutely a reason for that. And no, you don't have to go back to school and you don't have, what's so funny? Or go back to school if that sounds good to you. So recently I've been considering getting an interior design degree because we're going to be doing some really big things with my husband's business. And we think this would be a great branch to that, to have me do that because I really love design. I really love interior design. I do stuff with my house all the time. I watch the shows all the time. I'm just really into it. It's definitely like a passion of mine. I can get very lost in design because I just love it so much. And I feel like I can feel fulfillment when I'm making things beautiful, when I'm making our house beautiful. And it's currency for us when we walk into our house and it's just gorgeous. And I would love to do that for people and for my husband's clients. And it would be really great if him and I could work together. So I started looking into college and I got really overwhelmed because it's like the thought of going back to that is like so out of my comfort zone, right? But then I started Googling because there's a couple people that I follow that I really love in interior design. And I looked and I started Googling. Not one single person on HGTV, Joanna Gaines, Jennifer Todrick, Jenny Mars, any of them has an interior design degree. So I thought that was really interesting. And not to say that we shouldn't go back and study things and do things that are going to make us smarter. But the truth is, like these passions and these gifts, they really don't need a degree, right? Like people think, oh, I want to make more money. I need to go back to school. That is such old school thinking. We don't need to do that anymore. It's kind of BS. And I'm not putting college down, but what I am saying is you don't need to spend a bunch of money to make a lot of money. That's a long, long road. Find a way to do what you want to do regardless. I was doing coaching. I had a really pretty great coaching career and doing this podcast and writing books and all of that. And, I have an associate's degree in paralegal. So you don't really need it. Just go with what you're passionate about, and that energy will just transform, and you will learn things along the way. I learned just so many things along the way, so many things. And that's why I feel like I know a lot of things now about energy and universal law and manifesting, because I've worked with hundreds of people on creating. All right, so we're going to jump into a little energy work to clear up what you have going on. So I'm going to do both. So I'm going to go into letting go of some of these control dramas and then letting go of the things that aren't working. All right, so join me. So let's do a little clearing of the mind first. So if you're driving, pause this until later, pull over. If you're busy right now, pause it till later, because you really do need quiet and you need to focus. All right, so take a deep breath with me. And just hold it at the top. And when you hold it at the top, really squeeze from the bottom of your body. Bring your belly in all the way to your back and really squeeze all the way up and push out to your third eye. And release. And let's do it again. Breathing in and hold, 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 hold. Hold a little bit longer. You can do it. Hold it. And then breathing out. And you'll feel like a big rush of relaxation when you do this. And one more time, breathing in. And hold and let it go. So as you do this, your spinal fluid actually runs a little faster when you hold your breath like that, and it pushes against this third eye or the pineal gland, and it decalcifies it, and it allows you this clarity. Don't you feel clear? Don't you feel good? And if you don't, keep doing it. Keep breathing and holding until you have a blank slate to work with. All right. Ooh, the energy's moving. All right, so let's just call upon all these dramas and all the ways that we give away our energy and all the ways we allow our energy to be manipulated. So I want you to just think of some words. And as I call these words out, maybe you have a few more yourself, just breathe the energy out of your body. That's going to help release these energies and emotions from your lower fields. So most of it will be coming up from your root, which is at the bottom of your spine, your solar plexus, which is your power center in your belly, some in your sacral if you've had some emotional or sexual or just imbalances in your field where you've had traumas happen that way. That's under the belly button. Your heart, if you've had a lot of heartbreak or grief or unforgiveness or resentments. And then your throat, if you've been closing down your truth. And then your third eye, if you've been very confused and not listening to your guidance. Okay. So take a deep, deep, deep breath. And we're going to release all energies of anger, jealousy, being hyper concerned with what other people think, people's judgments, the harsh judgments of yourself, the unworthiness, the powerlessness, the any energies that cause you to not have boundaries, any energies of disempowerment, any energies of not being valued, not valuing yourself, not valuing others, energies of resentments, exhaustion, overthinking. Yeah, breathe that one all the way up from the bottom. So that's survival mode. That's fight or flight. That's unnecessary energies and thinking that keeps you in a prison, keeps you blocked in. So releasing all those energy blocks, the blocks to your abundance, the blocks to your joy, the blocks to your worthiness and your feeling good enough. So yeah, release all that energy of not feeling good enough. So release energies of unforgiveness, releasing energies of shame, guilt, hatred, self-hatred, resentment. I know that's there again. Jealousy, rage. Yeah, release all that energy of rage. Rage is a manipulation of energy on both sides. So when we get to rage, there's been an explosion in the energy field where no one is in control and everyone is trying to fill themselves up with other people's energy. Release the energy in the top of your shoulders. So that is heavy energy that has to do with carrying the weight of the world. Feeling like if it's to be, it's up to me. Not calling on your spiritual truths. Living from your lower mind. So release all the energy around being controlled by your lower mind, which is your lower emotions, negative emotions, your over concern and hypervigilance to worry, to be scared about what people think, to make up stories about what people are saying or thinking. Yeah, it's a misconception within yourself. And it has to do with not feeling good about yourself, not loving yourself. Yeah, release all that self-hatred and self-dysfunction. Release all those childhood wounds. Yeah, think about those wounds right now. So bring those wounds up, whether it was not getting enough attention, being told you were wrong, being told you were dumb, being told you were stupid, being told you weren't good enough. Yeah, release those. Ooh, those are coming all the way up from the bottom. So that also affects your survival mode. So releasing all dysfunction in your survival mode, releasing all connection to survival mode and all those fears and blockages that do not allow you to live your truth. Releasing the illusion, releasing the control dramas, releasing anything that causes you to be out of peace. So drama, releasing energies of drama, addictions to drama, in the belief that you have to be in a drama. So as we have this clear, clean slate, I want you to imagine there's this light coming through the top of your head and all around your neural pathways, just clearing them out, clearing out your pineal gland, clearing out so you can be in higher mind, feeling lighter, feeling this light come all the way down the back of your neck, in front of your throat, clearing out your truth, allowing you to speak from your heart, allowing you to be in compassion and kindness, allowing you to connect with love, self-love, love of others, love of self. Bringing that all the way through the middle of your body, proclaiming, I am good enough, I am worthy, I am powerful, I am here to learn and grow, I am abundant, I am emotionally balanced and calm, I am healed, I am whole, I am prosperous, I am connecting to my truth, to my power, and to my wholeness. Bringing that light into your love, bringing that light into your heart so you can feel the love, the light of love, allowing yourself to truly connect to the infinite stream of consciousness and love that you are. You are an expression of all that is, of infinite intelligence, and that's why you matter. That's why you are here to play this game at full power, full strength, full awareness, allowing you to fully remember who you are, that there is no lack. You are here to be whole, to be truth, to remember, and to connect with that stream of energy that you are always connected to. You just sometimes forget. So we ask for the light of remembrance to be turned on fully and to keep beckoning you towards more, to the more of who you are, the truth and the wholeness, the light and the love, and the connection to a field of energy that allows you to know how powerful you are and that manifesting is your reality. The manifesting of what you truly want is the greatest reality you have the ability to create. Ooh, that was a long one. All right. So that took us to the end of the show. All right, we did it. Well, this was absolutely awesome. If you want to get out of your dramas, you have to change your responses to things. You have to work from a framework of what am I learning from this? What am I getting from this? Stepping out of victimhood and blame and stepping into what you can do about situations, how you can let things go, how you can become more, how you can improve things. It's all in your ability to create the energy in your life and to decide that you are responsible for your responses, and your responses create the next moment. All right, guys, that is my show. You can get my books on Amazon. We've got The Perfect Unfolding for the Expansion of Your Soul, Mindful Manifestations Daily Guide and Journal, and Quantum Speak for Parents. And then we have Mindful Manifestation Secrets as well on Amazon and Audible. All science and spiritually based in the law of manifesting. That's my show for today. I love you all. Peace. Yeah, peace. Let's have more of that.